right, thank you for staying with Kenya's Choice 2022. And Asaska, was coming to you on this. Should IEBC be disbanded? That is the elephant in the room, whatever the outcome of the Supreme Court, because it can only uphold or nullify.
Yeah, true. Interesting, Trevor, because I'm just wondering why it needs to be disbanded when it comes to presidential election outcomes. But when they run the rest of the elections, they're clubbed for, you know. And I'm just wondering because I struggled reading through all the 9 petitions. And as you know, truth is simple, you know. You don't have to struggle to tell the truth. And we've seen even from Githongo's revised affidavit today that he claims, oh, those were just screenshots, they are not the actual logs. And looking at it and looking at the big picture of the petition, the presidential petition this year, this has definitely watered down the petitions, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of these, somebody said this versus who has said this. And I think what the Supreme Court will do is a lot of this evidence will be taken as a reference material. And I know it's important that the evidence provided in the affidavits are very key, and they'll play a very key role in the petition. But I just feel like there's a lot of lies and people covering lies because the truth should be very simple. Nobody needs to struggle to say the truth on what exactly transpired. And Trevor, in this 2022 presidential election petition, we will see that this is going to be a test on the IEBC Commission itself to see how far they've come and how far they've resolved or the follow-through with the Supreme Court 2017 directives. Because one thing they've done so far is with their data dump on the public portal. They've put about over 46,000 forms 34A. And compared to 2017 and 2013, most of also the KIMS kits have worked just properly, except in a couple polling stations, a couple hundred polling stations whereby voters were identified and they voted manually. And I think it's something as Kenyans we need to look at because it's only when it comes to presidential outcomes that IEBC does not work well.
Yeah.
But in other instances, it's okay. So you'll see that there's a lot of interest. Of course, presidential elections brings about a lot of interest. And you've seen, this is the fourth, I think this is the 4th election petition so far. And we've constantly seen Honorable Raila Odinga being a constant character in all these 4 petitions. So I think sometimes we should let the rule of the law, the will of the people take the first precedent in this case.
Yeah, but Prof, just like you had mentioned earlier on, there is something sinister. I mean, whatever the outcome you see, there's complaints from both sides. Who is telling the truth, that remains the Supreme Court to decide. But then that fading of public confidence on the commission, how can that be remedied going forward? We've seen 4 commissioners disagreeing, 3 on one side. So the public confidence, whichever way the ruling of the Supreme Court comes in, it has been eroded. How then can it be restored? Is it about restructuring the IBC?
No, you see, the thing is that there is confidence definitely that has been eroded, and we know why that confidence has been eroded. It's because the players, the political players, have interfered with IBC. It is clear from the split, it is clear from the different protagonists inside IBC that they have been aligned to different sides of the political divide. And they've had some relationships, actually, which are unhealthy with with both sides of the political divide. So the 2 things that, yes, I mean, if IBC has to be removed, there are procedures laid down in law to remove IBC. And that's why I don't even know why people are talking about that, because removal of Chebukati requires a petition in Parliament. And it has to be discussed. That's Article 251 of the Constitution. It has to be discussed in Parliament. If Parliament makes recommendation, this goes to the President, who then appoints a tribunal to do the investigation. The tribunal does its work, and in 30 days, and then eventually gives the report to the President, who eventually, disbands or removes this particular individual, and then you start the process of recruiting replacement. From what I've described there, in fact, you'd already be outside of the constitutional timeline of 60 days. So it's not possible to remove IBC and expect, to actually have elections done within the constitutional timeline. What technically it means removing IBC is that the president in these particular elections is that the president's term gets extended, so that IBC can be replaced through the procedures that have been put in place to enable, then election happen. And I don't know where the logic comes. I think I always tell people, leave alone IBC. I mean, in Kenya, once you get a job, leave alone an independent job that is protected in the Constitution, just firing an ordinary civil servant will take you 1 year. It's very, in fact, employing is easier. It is actually very difficult and very complex as it actually was. So these people who are saying that, oh, let IBC be removed and replace them, I think there are people who are assuming that there is a match between Gor Mahia and FC Leopards, where you can say we don't like the referee and you get another referee and move. It is impractical. The point I'm trying to make is that it's actually impractical to basically cancel these elections, conduct them with a new IBC, within the constitutional timelines that are there. And it's common sense. I don't know why people are cheating themselves about it. And I think anybody who's serious about, these particular matters and those sort of prayers should actually look at the implications, because it actually means that the president will have to be in power, most likely for another 1 year. For this sort of situation to actually be tenable. So it's not tenable. We don't like the way the IBC guys have been, behaving, and it's specifically around presidential elections. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying we need to look at it. Is the problem IBC, or is the problem protagonists in the presidential election? Trevor, one of the things that I've actually suggested, and I'm thinking about quite seriously, we'll need to canvass with serious lawyers, is that all the major taxes in this country should go to the county. That's VAT, corporate tax, pay as you earn, and so on. We should be paying to the counties that we live in, so that because why are these people fighting so hard, for the presidency? It is because all the money is up there and they want to loot it and share it amongst themselves. Once we remove the money from there, then maybe this whole thing of, trying to manipulate IBC, so that, using everything that we have that is meant to be protecting our sovereignty, so that you can become president of the country, can actually be demystified, so that the Mwananchi can eventually get the services they want, and we can get committed people who want to take this country forward, coming in as presidents and so on. I think what is so disappointing, really, is that these cartels that we are beholden to in the country believe that their candidates must be president at all costs. So once that is not resolved, IBC will always have problems. These are the same people who've handpicked people into IBC. People who, honestly, you cannot even entrust with your shamba to dig. But they've been put there because people felt they could manipulate them to deliver results. And we are seeing them, being operated like puppets, and, they're puppeteers, pulling them up and down. And you're wondering that really, did Kenya, that has such high level of educated individuals and such high caliber of fellows, lack people to get into those offices? And you're told, oh, it's dangerous to work in IBC, or is a what difficult job? The issue actually is that the political players are constantly interfering with IBC, and regardless, and agree with Dr. Ria, you can put all the laws you want to put. IBC will have the same problems as long as the presidency is done, the way it's actually put in place. But having said that, of course, I mean, these particular processes improve other aspects of elections that other people benefit from. But in this sort of situations, you look at it, and I mean, IBC are damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. You can imagine, I mean, people providing you security are calling you for a meeting. How do you say no? You appear there, and the other side is also appearing there, and so on. I mean, and yes, of course, we bash IBC. Definitely, we expect a bit better from them. But on the other hand, I think we also need to look at it the other way around. That the political players in Kenya are hell-bent on, particularly the presidency, they're hell-bent on ensuring that IBC produces results, regardless of what we do. And if that behavior doesn't stop, if it doesn't find a way of stopping that behavior, IBC will continue having the same problem ad nauseum.
I agree with Prof here that the Supreme Court of Kenya has really played a crucial role to improve the electoral laws in this country. I mean, we've seen from the previous election petitions the fact that they've set precedents. In 2013, it was about the spoiled votes when they upheld Uhuru Kenyatta's win. In 2017, elections were nullified, but they've set precedents whereby votes declared at the polling stations are final. That's Forms 34A. And for this year, what is new actually, what really impressed me is the proposed presidential election petition amendment rules of 2022 that was squashed by the High Court because it did not adhere to the public participation requirements. I think that's a big thing that maybe we need to look at further because as we know, the Supreme Court have really played a very crucial role, and I think it's time for them, for the next coming days, for us to look at what exactly will happen, and whichever the outcome, you know, this country is polarized at the end of the day. Whatever the outcome of the Supreme Court by September 5th.
Yeah, let me, Dr. Ojong, I know you want to respond, but let me bring in Mukwanja on this. Mukwanja, this is why you should have been in studio because sometimes you get forgotten when you're online. So, should there be individual culpability that we did not see in 2017?
Yeah, of course, Trevor, from the dirty linen that we have witnessed, the various commissioners washing in public, we must, if we are a country that believes in justice, we must bring some of these actions and out of commission or omission to book, and people have to really sort it out because it's lending credence to the thought that in this country elections are a mere ritual, and it's going to affect a peaceful transfer of power, that our elections seem to be not a process, but a mere ping-pong game where some faceless characters who are, I think, not faceless anymore, sit down and determine what kind of results do we want in this general election and try to panel beat the process of the elections to achieve that particular result. So I think fundamentally we need to bring these individuals to book. We have a question of whether it is genuine election petition out of misconduct of those charged with the responsibility to conduct election, or are we experiencing Trumpism of some nature? And whichever way we have to bring this to closure. Do I have confidence that this is possible? Yes, it could be possible, but looking at how we have learned from the Kriegler Commission report, the 2013 ruling that my sister Zaska is talking about, the Supreme Court really trying to shape the electoral culture in this country through various rulings. I'm hesitant, particularly that we have the same monkeys merely shifting the forests. It is foolhardy to imagine that some of these officers, even us who are debating, that we don't have partisan positions, and this affects us in terms of how we deliver this. So it's ideal when we're discussing it, but the reality is that we're so stooped into the politics of this country that it becomes very difficult for us to be able to dispense the mandates. And we can't blame IEBC, we can't blame the individual officers, but we must look at what is the real underlying causes. And I think I have two that I want to share. One is I share that with the Prof. Amenya, that the problem is still power and resources concentrated at the center. You may want to see that democracy should deliver public goods, but that is not how politicians are looking at it. Politicians are looking at it as an opportunity to access public resources and utilize them in a manner that they deem fit. And that is why the stakes are high, that the owners of capital and the controllers of levels of political power in this country seem to be one and the same. But we will never fix electoral democracy in this country, in my opinion, by simply putting or administering painkillers towards IEBC. I think we must revisit the old debate that we have avoided for a long time now about our choice of electoral system desire. As long as we still have the first past the post, in my opinion, in a country that is highly ethnicized, in a country that is highly ethno-regional in terms of politics, in a country that is highly patriarchal, in a country that we're seeing a lot of money. One of the key features of this mini polls today has been the brazen and widespread and rampant voter bribery. Money is playing a very significant role in our politics. The mix of money, the mix of patriarchal culture, the mix of first past the post, combined with the ethno-regional politics that we do, I think we have a recipe for chaos, because first past the post is dominant. First past the post is about, what the wherewithal that you have, because it's about winning it all or losing it all. And I don't think we're going to have a straight election, a good election that respects the process, that people adhere to the rule of law, that people act democratically, that we have an accountable and transparent process, as long as we're going to maintain the conversation around the first past the post. And it's not going to be a one-day discussion, but we must begin this conversation that we have avoided all along in our conversation around fixing this country's democratic culture and practice.
Let me bring in, first of all, Marianne Nyambura before we discuss this.